When you two first got together, what was that first conversation like about money?
Wow. Okay,
You want
that's
to go to the first date?
that's
Oh
a
no.
very interesting conversation. You want to talk about on our show, on the Marriage to Money podcast, on anything we do, we're very transparent and open about it. Our first conversation about money was that, hey, I don't have no money. Okay, because there's been past relationships that are no longer existing. There's been things going on that I had to take care of and get through. So you're meeting a man that is pretty much starting from scratch again. How do you feel about it? You know?
And that was on our first date. He thought that I would get up and run, right? We are going to movies, we are going to dinner, and then, but we were vibing, the attraction was there, and he said, all right, I'm just going to put this on the table and let you know that I have been through a divorce and I have a small child.
Mm-hmm.
She's a few years old. I'm trying to save, but I'm rebuilding.
Yeah.
So you can take me or leave me, but let me know now, please, before I really get into you. and and that honesty, oh my gosh, it was so refreshing.
Yeah.
Where some other people would have gotten up and said, well, then this is not for me.
Right.
I was looking for someone to build with, and I can build with an honest person.
Mm-hmm.
If I know what I'm dealing with, oh yeah, we can do a lot together, as you see
Right.
21 years
Right.
later.
And that's why it adds to, for me, divine intervention, because I wasn't looking anymore. I was at a point in my life that I said, I need to get myself together before I add anyone else into my life again. And in that moment, to shorten it real quick, the first time I saw her, I said, that's my wife. So I don't care what I have to say or what she thinks. I have to let her know so we can get this going.
So, do you believe that every couple should have that conversation on the first date, or do you think it just depends?
I
You got
just,
to weigh that out.
you got to know who you're dealing
To
with.
each his own,
You got to
right?
know who you're dealing
Again,
with.
for me, it was spiritual. It was like it's different. But I definitely think it's a conversation to have early, to weed it out and just know what you're dealing with.
If you're building anything,
Mhm.
and that's like first, second, third date, and you feel like, okay, this is someone I can be invested with. Even beyond money, you
Hmm.
have to just be honest about your circumstances. Otherwise, you're building a house of cards that
Yeah,
can fall at
yeah.
any minute. But I think money is one of the things, finances are one of the things that even when people are in love, they still can't make it work. And it breaks up marriages, it breaks up
Hmm.
relationships because it's a stressor. And so, yeah, it is. It is something that you want to ask about up front. What's your credit? And how much do you earn? You don't have to be rich, but I just need to know if the equations, the math is
Right, right, right.
mathing. you know.
I think it's something you definitely put on the table because you got to understand different people, different folks, different strokes, different backgrounds. Some folks literally have never been taught how to or what is financial expertise or what to do with
Yeah.
their money, right? They may be the most amazing person in the world, but they can get counted out because of something they may not know. So those conversations open up doors and point out weaknesses and strengths to say, you know what? I love 95% of you, but this business part, let me help you out with that, right? And because you let it be known, that person can decide if they're even willing to work with that person. So yes, have the conversation, but you got to fill it out on your own end. We are not relationship experts. We just share our experience.
Yeah. And I know you said that you guys been together for 21 years.
hmm
Hmm.
And so 21 years later with kids and joint businesses, what does that money conversation look like now?
So now it's very. I mean, so you have to understand we
Yeah.
own 6 businesses now. We have
Wow.
3 girls. We've
Hmm.
put one completely through college. We've got artists, we've got ballerinas, we have multiple properties in the country, out of the country. So we've had to sit down and have real like
Hmm.
strategic conversations. And Mike will tell you, I call it our bringing it to the table
Yeah.
session, where because we have to intertwine in business and marriage and kids so much, the only way that we can really get focused is when we know when we come to that kitchen table, this is just about the finances. It's where we review the numbers, where, he tells me to cut back on shopping. Uh, when he gets that bill, he's like, hey, okay. And, it's where I, suggest things that maybe we should invest in and take some calculated risks in. But those are important activities for couples to have that are often overlooked.
Yeah.
You can go to the park together. You can have your Friday date nights. You can have all of the things you want to do. But if you skip in your relationship having the monetary activity practice, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball. It is imperative that you get on the same page and be able to talk numbers. Some people are very uncomfortable because in their family, just historically, talking finances has been an uncomfortable thing, but get comfortable with it because then now you're over one of the biggest hurdles that break relationships up.
And you got to be transparent about it as well. I mean, it's one of the biggest debates in relationships in general. Do we have joint accounts? Do we have single accounts? Do we give this person access to it? For us, we know what's in each other's accounts. We know what's in each other's business accounts. We know what's in our joint business accounts, et cetera, because we need to know just in case, right? And there's a level of trust and communication and transparency. So again, to each his own. Some folks will never allow their partners to see the account or have access to it.
Then what are you building? It's like if you don't allow your partner to know what's happening financially in your life, that means that you are essentially hiding it or you're fearful of something. And so if you're fearful and you're hiding from the person that's supposed to be your partner, then are you setting yourself up anyway to split? What is the motivation? What's the intention? Is it to stay together successfully or is it to split?
Yeah.
And so remember, energy, the activity follows and manifests and follows the energy of it. So if your energy in your relationship is we're together but we're divided, then a house divided is going to fall.
Yeah.
So with us, we are the couple that believes still in having separate accounts. And we've had like Montel Jordan and his wife Kristen came on our podcast and they were like, no, you have to put everything in the same pot. And we said, no, you can have a same pot. So we have joint accounts, but then we also have our separate accounts. Why? Because we're separate individuals that have habits that we like to upkeep.
Right.
Girl, I will not compromise on getting my hair and nails done religiously, So I want to know that I don't have to explain that to anybody.
Right.
That's just some of it though.
But you know what? Because you mentioned TurboTax and we talked about taxes, that's a reason why, and I'm speaking to those that may have a small business and be together as a partnership, right? You have to lay it out there because when it comes time for taxes, they're going to find out anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have an account that's, that you never let the person know about, it's going to be like, well, what's all this money here? We have to account for it or it's going to bite us in the butt, right? So what one does affects the other.
Yeah, it does. But we're in just a world now, and I love this space we're in, where people really are embracing the entrepreneurial mindset. Almost everyone I know has a business. Now, how successful that business is, how official that business is, that's another story.
Right.
But almost everyone I know, it has some sort of side hustle or business, right? Because that's what we have to be, multifaceted, right? Today, have multiple hustles. And so I love it, I embrace that, which also means that, if we're embarking on that journey, this is another stressor in relationships, are businesses. If you have a business that you're not running correctly and you're not accounting for, or it's not even structured correctly, but now it winds up on a Schedule C, and we're not tax professionals, but winds up on your Schedule C, then your business affects me. So you got to level up. You have to do things right because it's going to affect me because now we're on joint taxes.
Appreciate you.
London, thank you so much. Bye-bye.